Hi friends, welcome back to another video. Today I am showing you how I color these three super cute cows from the brand new set by Trinity Stamps. I chose to leave the whole footage for today's video. I did cut out everything like looking for colors and things like that, but all of the coloring is done in real time. You can see my reflection on the glass throughout the video because I'm still trying to figure out how to do this whole YouTube thing and voiceover. You would have noticed at the beginning that I taped a little bit of washi tape on the back of my paper, which by the way is Hammermill 100-pound color cardstock that I get on Amazon. It is the best paper that I have found for copic coloring. So I put the washi tape on the back of my paper so that I could attach it to my glass mat. And I did this just for the recording purposes of this video because I didn't want to have to move my paper several times and then I would just make you guys all dizzy watching. So I have started by coloring my first cow, which is going to be white with black spots. And I started with C3 in Copics. I like to start with my darkest tone and I map out my shadows. And then after that, I go with my middle tone, which in this case is C1. And I go on top of all of those previous tones that I applied, which in this case is C3. And my lightest color for this combo is my colorless blender. At this point, I am convinced, I don't know why it didn't click in my mind, that what the cows are holding is not a cup. I thought that it was a hot cocoa cup, but it wasn't. So you will see me go back here in a little bit and color the other two papers that they are holding because they are singing. I don't know why it didn't click in my head. I always do 2 layers in every single coloring that I do for the most part. So I am going back with my C3 all over the same areas that I applied that during the first layer. My second tone is C1. And like I mentioned at the beginning, all of this is done in real time. I believe this video is about 38 minutes long. So yes, that is how long it took me to color all 3 characters here. Mind you, I edited out when I was choosing colors all of the interruptions that I had, but yeah, I wanted you guys to see real-time coloring. So I am going on top of all of the same areas with my C1 and now using my colorless blender as my lightest tone for this color combo, I am blending all over. And I will try to explain a little bit better how I go about applying my colors when it's not such a light combo that I am using. Like for instance, it will be easier to see when I color the next cow in the middle. Is that the one that I do next? I don't remember. Oh, yes it is. So she is going to be brown and the darkest color for her is E99, and I am mapping out all of my colors, all of my shadows here. Everything that I feel would have a shadow is going to have my darkest tone. So under her arm, around her belly, on the other side right there by her knee, everything that in my mind would have a shadow is going to have this E99. I am applying this E99 all over the places that I think would have a shadow. So around her arms, under her paper. You guys, I just finished recording the whole thing and I didn't realize that I had not press the record button for my voiceover, so here I am doing it all over again. Live and learn, right? All right, so coloring around the ears, and if I happen to miss any steps, like any areas that need to have my darker tone, It's not something to worry about right now because I am going to do my second layer, and hopefully I will catch all of those mistakes or anything that I may have missed during that step, during my second layer. My second tone for the brown cow is E34, and I always go on top of the previous tone with any new color that I bring. So E34 is going to go on top of E99, and I always extend it more towards the white of the paper. So every color that I apply after this is going to go on top of the previous color. So I am going to have lots of opportunity for blendability, although that is not really what I am looking for. During my first layer, I always do my first layer more as a mapping out colors, meaning that I use the first layer to figure out where all of my colors are supposed to go. I'm not really looking to blend them, just place them where they're going. My last color for this combo for the first layer is E53, and it is my lightest tone. And for that tone, that is actually the easiest one because it goes all over everything, all over the areas that are supposed to be that brown tone. That is where I am applying the E53. And here I realized that I did not put any of my darkest tones on her tail, so I am gonna have to remember to fix that. So now I'm going back with my E99, my darkest tone, and I'm just following all of the same exact steps that I did during the first go, applying my darkest shadows first. And since this is the second layer and my last layer, I am being a little bit more careful, trying to pay attention to how my lines look, because after this, it's supposed to look, the way that I want it to look. I am going to attempt to blend it after, with all of these colors that I am applying now. So I am trying to be a little bit neat with how I apply everything. Basically, I am doing the exact same steps as I did during the first go. I don't know why it's looking blurry here and there. I am really sorry. I am still trying to figure out this YouTube thing. But yeah, I am applying all of those shadows back and just trying to fix any mistakes. If you guys noticed, I did apply the E99 to her tail just a little bit. Now moving on to E34, which is my middle tone. And remember, I told you I always go on top of the previous color with any color after the dark. And I am just blending, going on top of a certain area as many times as I need to until those lines sorta get blurred. I don't really like harsh lines in my coloring, so I go back and forth on top of certain areas until it looks the way that I want it. So I am focusing on blending out those shadows and extending that color more towards the center. And I'm doing the same everywhere, all over her body. Just blending, blending, blending. Right here, I am blending, applying the color to her arm, trying to be consistent with the thickness of my strokes of my marker, trying to get rid of any harsh lines. And this is E53, and it is a color that goes on top of all over everything. So I am going super slow because I want the ink, that alcohol ink from my marker, to just get saturated on the paper, not sure how you say that, and just letting the ink do its thing. I want it to look just nicely and smooth. And I am repeating the same steps all over. I am focusing right there, mostly in that part under the paper, her belly, would that be? Yeah. And well, I have moved on now, but I wanted that to look extra blended because I feel like that's a large area on her and I wanted it to look nicer. I believe I am almost done with her. And here is what I realized. Wait a minute, they are not holding cups. It's not a hot cocoa mug. It is papers. It barely clicked in my head. So here I am coloring those papers with C3, C1, and then blending it with my colorless blender so that they all match. I don't know what I was thinking. I even knew that they are singing Christmas carols. I was showing you there that my nib is stained with some kind of pink color, but it still works. I attempted to do this video just directly from like my phone, you know, without the voiceover, just talking directly. But there were so many interruptions that I just couldn't. I have 3 kids and 2 dogs and my husband, so it was impossible. So I am coloring my last cow and she's going to be black, but I very rarely use black to color, even if it is black, like very, very rarely. So I am starting with C8, a cool gray, and again, just like I did with my prior 2 cows, this is my darkest tone, and I am applying this anywhere that I feel it should have a shadow. Around her belly so that it looks rounded. Look, I remember her tail. Woohoo! They are so cute. My next color is C5. And I am going on top of that C8 from before and just adding a little bit more to the paper, filling in more of the white of the paper as I go. Remember, this is real-time coloring. I have not sped this up at all, which means you guys have to listen to me talk for 38 minutes. I'm sorry. Now I am going around her belly, and I realized right here I forgot to apply my C8, to put that C8 right there around the paper. It's probably not called a paper, music sheet, I think. But that's okay because all of these steps that I have missed, I will be able to do here in a minute. I also realized here that I have not colored the black spots on the first cow, which I am going to get to after I do that shadow. So for the black spots, I am just adding a little bit of that C8. There's one more right there under the knee. Yep, don't forget it, Lou. And then I will go back with my C5 and blend those spots out a little bit more. Oh yeah, I forgot that one up there too on her arm. Oh my goodness, there's another one in the other arm. I don't believe I got it. I didn't catch that one. I just saw it. All right, so now I am all caught up with the markers on both, and C3 is how I'm gonna blend the whole thing. And now I'm blending all over the cow. Well, not blending, applying the color because this is the first layer. Another reason why I like to do 2 layers, besides the fact that it helps me so that I can catch errors, it's because I believe, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me or not, that when you are done with your first coat of all of those colors, your colors don't look as vibrant. They look washed out. At least they do to me. So we're gonna see how applying a second layer on my black cow looks. So my darkest tones should look darker than that. I mean, I want her to be a black cow, not a gray cow. So I am going back with all of those colors once again. and this is my last layer for her. So I am being careful and trying to be a little neater when it comes to applying all of those lines. I want them to look nice. Don't forget the spots. Oh, I'm telling myself in my mind, there is one on her elbow, but you forgot it. Yep, I did. So yeah, this is C5, which is my mid-tone, and I'm just going on top of all of those same exact areas as before, but just being a little more careful to blend, taking my time. There we go. I'm not really looking at covering every single spot on her at this point because I still have one more color. And C3, which is my last. I chose to go with the same color combo for the black cow, to use that for the black spots on the other cow, just so that there was a little more continuity with the colors, you know, so that they look like they belonged. I don't know if that makes sense. And it is also a way to not use as many markers, because people can get really carried away with markers when like they're coloring. Some people do. Guess what? I'm people. That's me. I do. So okay, now I am going to color, I believe it's called the snout, I'm not sure, the mouth area, the nose, and I wanted it to look a little bit of a shade of pink, so I started with E93. And I am going to just apply that kind of like around the edges where I feel like it would look a little shadowy. And at this point, I am not really worried about the mouth area or the nostrils. In my second, I believe I only used two colors for this, is R00. And I am going all around the whole area of the mouth. I don't know. Tell me in the comments what that part is called. And yeah, just taking my time, going in circles. It doesn't really matter as long as you get it all over the place. It doesn't matter if you go in circles or whatever. I do not remember if I did 2 layers on her snout. Here I am like going on top of that same area right there on that curve above the mouth, because I realized that I had colored outside the lines with my gray, so I am using this color to push that gray out of the snout. And yes, apparently I did do 2 layers. So going back, applying the same exact colors, and these are not large areas, so it didn't take too long. So just doing the same exact thing, R00, and just taking my time with it, blending all over so it looks smooth. And I'm not saying this is the right way to color, this is just the way that I do it, and it has worked really nicely for me for a long time. Alright, what do I do next? Oh yeah, so now I'm doing the nostrils and the inside of the mouths at the end, I think, when I'm doing the reds. So all I'm doing is just applying that N8. And I chose to go with a different tone of gray because if you remember, I use my cool grays for coloring the cows. I wanted the inside of the nostrils to be a different kind of gray, so I use neutral instead. And I am using the same one for the hooves. I don't know what they're called, hooves, shoes. So N8 is going to be the shadowy part, and I think I only used 2 tones for it. You see me looking up a lot because I was watching a crime show as I was coloring, because by this time I had given up on not doing a voiceover because I was, talking as I was doing the video, but my kids kept walking in and I'm like, forget it. So yeah, I am just going around everywhere coloring their hooves, and I think I might be doing the hair in their tails. I don't know what it's called, the end of their tails, with this tone as well. We are gonna find out. I hate that the first cow always looks blurry. I don't know why it does that. Hopefully you guys are able to understand what I mean when I am explaining everything. Okay, N6 is my second color. Okay, what am I doing? Why am I taking so long? And I just used 2 colors. So I am covering everything else with that. That way the edges of all of those hooves look darker, and then the centers look more light, so they look a little bit more dimensional. They are looking so cute, so cute. Coloring is not something, well, maybe for some people, but not for me. Coloring with copics is my thing, but it's not like a fast going hobby. To me, coloring is more about sitting down, relaxing, and just taking it in, you know. All right, now I am going to focus on their hair all over. I am starting with the hair on their tail for the black cows, or black and white. And for hair, I like to color using flicks, just so that you can see a little bit more of the hair texture. And it's really, really hard to see here because these areas are so super small, but in the future I might do a video showing a little bit more in-depth technique for hair. And yeah, so I also used a color combination that includes 3 different shades of gray. So N8 was first, and once again I am doing it in 2 different layers. So N8 is going to be my darkest portions of the hair, then N6 is going to go on top of those and extending it a little bit further out. And my last tone is my lightest, which is N4, and once again I am flicking all over, and that will make it look a little more dimensional, hopefully. Next up, I am going to color the brown cow's hair on her head and tail. My darkest tone is E49, and I chose to go with brown for her because her body is a light, like a honey brown. So to me, it made more sense that her hair would be brown, but black would have worked as well. My mid-tone here is E29, which is also pretty dark, and just flicking. And then my last tone is E99, which, if you guys remember, that is the darkest color that I used on her body. So it kind of all comes together in the end like that. So E49 for the second layer, E29 for the second layer as well, and then what am I doing here? All right, there we go. Just flicking, and then E99 finishing it off. And the main part of the cow is done. So this is something that I thought I was going to keep, but I ended up changing it in the end. I had the idea to just leave those pom-poms. I think that's a pom-pom on the white cow. I am not exactly sure what it is. It's cute though. So I was going to just dot it with some shades of gray and a colorless blender and leave it white. But as I colored more and more of their accessories, I changed my mind because they were just too cute to leave like that. So I am doing my red accessories all at the same time. So the jingle bell, I think it's called, I don't know what it's called. And now I'm doing the hat, and I am focusing on the darkest areas, because this is the shadow part, you know. I always start with my darkest tones for everything that I color. So the third cow is gonna have a red scarf. That way they all have a little bit of something that matches. Just coloring anything that would appear to be a little bit darker. Next color is R39, and this is actually my favorite color combo, by the way. Red is my favorite color to color with, and R89, R39, R46, and R27 are my favorite color combination for red. I do have a video somewhere in my channel that I recently posted showing how I color a red floral using those tones, so go check it out. R39, just applying it on top of the R89 from before. Next is R46, and I am leaving a little bit of a white line, like a little bit of a spot for my last color. And although red is so fun to color with because it's so vibrant, red is not forgiving. So I suggest that you take your time. Don't rush it, because if you color outside the lines with red, it's pretty hard to remove that. Okay, R27 is my last color, and that goes on top of everything. And yes, I am going to do 2 layers. Look at how rich that red is. Oh my gosh, I love it. I know a lot of people that are scared to color with red, but just get to know it, practice it. It is fun. So doing my second layer just so that I can bring back some of that depth and vibrancy, focusing where my shadows are supposed to be with these R89. It looks so festive. I love it. Now R39 goes on top of the R89, just blending it a little bit more. I am extremely mindful when I color with red that I don't color where I'm not supposed to with it. R46, just continuing with my blending. Red is actually, or a lot of the reds that I own, were the first refills that I ever bought. R27, and I'm finishing it off, and I am using this color for their mouths. So back when I started my copic collection a couple of years ago, I only had, you know, just a certain amount. I didn't have all of them. I still don't have all of them. I have most of them. Okay, now I'm coloring the scarf, I believe, and I can't remember, but you know, just white G99 for the darkest tone and this combo. Anyways, and the first refills that I ever bought were for my red colors. So whenever I had to color something, not had to, but whenever I colored something that I knew was going to use a lot of ink, I always gravitated towards using the reds that I own the refills for, because I knew that if I ran out of ink, I could refill them. So that's basically how I got to fall in love with coloring with reds. Okay, here I am coloring the Pom Pom on the red hat. And for Pom Poms, I like to dot, like super small dots here and there. And I focus with the dark color mostly on the outer parts of the Pom Pom. This is YG95. You can't really tell because it's kind of off screen. And then with the mid-tone, I am going to dot all over those same dots as before, but bringing them a little bit more towards the center. And YG93 is my lightest tone for all of it. And I will be dotting all over the pom-pom with this. All of my dots are going to be super small, like as tiny as I can make them, because those areas are tiny, you know. But even with just one layer, look at that dimension. And each of them has an element of green now, so they are all kind of matchy-matchy. I am going to work very hard on figuring out how to not get some parts blurry. Like, I think my phone just focuses on a certain area and then blurs everything out. So if anybody has any suggestions, just leave me a comment and I'll try my best. I am brand new at this. So now I'm doing my second layer, and I did YG99, now YG95. I'm repeating all of the same steps. Oh, it still bugs me that I did not catch that spot on her elbow on the white cow. They're just so cute. YG93, just repeating all of that. And I believe I chose to go with purple for the last one. BV08. I was trying to color from the top, but then I realized that you guys couldn't see, so then I moved my hand towards, you know, the bottom. It was hard to color like this, you guys, because it was awkward not being able to move the paper, but everything just so that, you know, you guys could see it better, period. So purple hat for the white cow, purple scarf for the brown cow, and then I believe my black cow is going to have purple pom-pom. And I think I did leave the pom-pom on the white cow white. Okay, V17 is my mid-tone, and by this time you guys know what I mean. Like, mid-tone goes on top of the dark tone and extending it more towards the center, like that. That is usually, like, I would say 99.9% of the time I follow the same exact step. That is my process. So that's something that you hear me say a lot on my Facebook page when I'm doing lives. Follow the process, trust the process. So when I say that, this is what I mean. Mid color goes on top of the dark color, and the light color goes on top of the two previous colors. That's it. And I sometimes don't use like 3 colors. Sometimes I use 5, sometimes I use 7. Like, possibilities are endless, but I wanted to start small with you guys so that you can kind of get the basics. That is a lot of talking, isn't it? I'm sorry. Would you guys prefer just some music in the background and written instructions? Just let me know. I did the same steps for the pom-pom as I did with the green pom-pom. It's the exact same thing, just different tones. V17. We are almost done. So close. It's funny that I find it so nerve-wracking to do voiceovers when I have been doing daily lives on Facebook for over 2 years. And over there, I'm like, it's not a big deal. But here, just trying to be formal, and I don't know, it just feels strange. All right, so here I zoomed in so that you can see my process for the pom-pom, and it's the same exact steps that I use for the other two, just a little closer up. So my darkest tone first, and I am dotting around the areas that I want to look dark. Just like that, it doesn't have to look perfect. Dot, 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 dot. C3, which I forgot to show really good, but you get it. And it goes on top of those previous dots and a little bit more filling in the rest of it. And then my last color is C1. There you go. And that goes on top of the whole thing. And at this point I realized I didn't really like how it looked, so I decided to bring in my paint pen, Posca pen, and this one is the one with the fine nib tip. And I am going to dot on top of my pom-poms just so that I can bring a little bit more highlight to some areas, give it a more whimsical feel to it. And I will also be using this to add highlights here and there. I feel like when you add highlights with either a gel pen or a paint pen like this one, it just makes the cartoon characters look like, I don't know, look cuter. It gives a more cartoony, sweet look to them. And I like to apply my highlights like how you see right there. I do a line, a dot, and then a shorter line, but you can do it however you want. I am trying to keep those lines super thin. And here I am doing her snout, but for some strange reason I did not do the other two. I didn't do their mouths, their snouts. So I don't know what I was thinking. So just some highlights, and they don't really have to make sense, I don't feel. As long as you add some lines here and there and it looks cute, then you're good. Like right there, I didn't add a dot on the top of the hoof. I feel like I could have used some of the white highlights on the hair as well. Okay, so here I am trying to push in that brown that I colored outside of the line, and you can do that with a colorless blender. Just kind of color next to where the little blotch is, and it will push that ink in. This does not work very well for dark tones like dark blue or red. And that is it. That is it for today's video, you guys. I love these girls. They're so cute. Go check out Trinity Stamps and pick up your very own set of stamps. They are adorable. Thank you for watching, and I am going to see you guys very soon with a follow-up video for these images where I make a shaker card. Bye everyone.